Empaths aren't born to be everyone's emotional sponge. But what happens when they stop pleasing and start waking up? There's a strange kind of silence that follows an empath's awakening. A silence that comes not from peace, but from shock. All their life, they've been applauded for being kind, understanding, supportive. But underneath that praise hides something deeper: exhaustion, confusion, and a quiet question. Who am I when I'm not fixing someone else's pain? It's a question few dare to ask until the mask slips. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But what happens when that privilege demands losing everything that once made you feel safe? The friends who relied on your silence, the family who applauded your compliance, the relationships built on your willingness to shrink. It's not easy to let go of the role of the good empath, especially when that role has kept you accepted. But Jung warned us, the greatest danger to the soul is the life unlived. So let's ask a deeper question. What truth have you buried in the name of being good? Have you ever felt like you were disappearing under the weight of others' emotions? Like your own feelings were too much to carry after absorbing everyone else's? You're not alone. That feeling isn't weakness, it's the signal of something trying to wake up. Imagine this. A woman walks into her kitchen and finds herself staring at the coffee mug she always uses. Except this morning, something feels off. She's about to call her sister, like she does every morning, but pauses. A thought comes, why do I always carry her pain before I've even had my coffee? It's such a small moment, but it's everything. That's how awakenings begin, not in fireworks, but in quiet resistance. And maybe this is your moment too. The moment where you don't scroll past this video. The moment where something in your soul whispers, enough. What happens when the empath stops pleasing and starts seeing the truth? Let's find out together. Most empaths wear their masks so well, they forget it's even there. This mask isn't fake, it was built out of survival. It's the smile they wore when they were hurting. The calm voice they used to de-escalate chaos. The way they said, it's okay, when it really wasn't. Carl Jung called this the persona, the social costume we create to function in the world. And for empaths, that costume often becomes a straitjacket. Imagine a man named Daniel. He's the go-to guy in his office, the fixer, the peacekeeper. Everyone trusts him, but no one ever asks how he's doing. Because his mask is flawless. He's always fine. Always, no problem. But at night, when the meetings end and the apartment is quiet, something inside him aches. Not from work, but from the weight of never being seen. Not really. That ache? It's the self-calling. Jung believed that when we live only through our persona, we become strangers to our soul. The good empath becomes so focused on being what others need that they forget their own emotional language. They start to ask, do I even have needs? Or am I just a mirror for everyone else? That's not connection. It's emotional burnout dressed as virtue. And the world applauds it until the empath breaks. Think of the empath as someone who's been trained to translate everyone else's pain but has forgotten their native tongue. The persona says, you're valuable when you're needed. But the self whispers, you're valuable because you exist. That whisper grows louder each time the mask slips, when they cancel a plan and feel relief instead of guilt, or when they say, I'm tired, and don't apologize for it. These small acts are rebellions. But the mask doesn't come off without resistance. People get uncomfortable when you stop performing your usual role. They may say, you've changed. But the truth is, you've stopped hiding. And as Jung warned, the cost of not facing your true self is a life half-lived. So ask yourself, who are you when no one needs anything from you? And when was the last time you gave that version of you a voice? The first time an empath says, no, the world trembles, and so does their inner world. It doesn't feel like strength. It feels like betrayal. Guilt seeps in like water through cracked walls. But behind that guilt, something else awakens, something darker, something honest. Carl Jung called it the shadow, all the parts of ourselves we deny, suppress, or exile to be accepted. And when the empath stops pleasing, the shadow rises to speak. Picture a woman named Elena. She's always been the strong one in her family. The one who forgives quickly, absorbs pain silently, and smooths over every tension. But after years of emotional exhaustion, she finally sets a boundary with her brother. No more calls past midnight. His response? "You've become so cold." That night, she feels like a monster. But something in her doesn't shrink this time. It stares back. That's the shadow, stepping forward for the first time. Jung warned that whatever we repress doesn't disappear, it waits. It compensates. It builds. So when the empath represses their anger to keep the peace, that anger doesn't vanish. It shows up later as illness, depression, anxiety. It's not evil, it's the soul trying to rebalance itself. The shadow is not evil, Jung wrote. It is simply everything you have disowned to be accepted. And one day it demands to be seen. The rebellion of the soul doesn't always look like rage. Sometimes it's subtle. You cancel plans without guilt. You feel relief when someone walks out of your life. You notice you no longer laugh at jokes that belittle you. These are quiet revolutions, signs that your inner truth is no longer willing to be buried. And when this starts to happen, something magical takes root, self-trust. So ask yourself, what part of you have you silenced just to be loved? Is there a truth inside that you've locked away because the world found it too much, too loud, too inconvenient? Because here's the truth Jung revealed. What we most fear in ourselves often holds the key to our freedom. And once you stop running from your shadow, you start walking toward your soul. There comes a moment in the empath's journey when silence is no longer peace, it's isolation. After the mask drops and the shadow rises, a void opens. Friends drift. Family recoils. Even the empath's own identity begins to dissolve. It's not just loneliness, it's spiritual disorientation. Jung called this the dark night of the soul, a phase where everything external loses meaning so the internal truth can be reborn. Take the story of Michelle. For 12 years, she built her life around her partner's emotional needs. She called it love, but it was survival. One day, she walks away, not in anger, but in clarity. She spends nights alone on the floor of her new apartment, wondering if she's made a mistake. But then, she begins to feel something she hasn't felt in years: space. Not freedom yet, just space. That space is sacred. It's the womb of the self. In the Red Book, Jung describes being visited by visions, fears, and voices from the unconscious during his own breakdown. He wasn't losing his mind, he was finding his soul. The empath's breakdown is not mental failure, it's an initiation. When you stop being who others need you to be, you begin to feel who you actually are. But first, everything collapses. And that collapse is divine. During this phase, the world often misunderstands you. People say, "You've changed. You're being selfish. You're too sensitive." But what they're really saying is, "You're no longer making me comfortable at the expense of yourself." This is where many empaths turn back. But those who continue walking, those who sit with the dark instead of running from it, begin to hear the whispers of their true self. As Jung said, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. If you're in this phase, know this: you are not broken, you are breaking through. And the deeper you go into the silence, the closer you come to the voice you've been longing to hear all your life, your own. After the storm comes clarity, not the kind handed to you by others, but the kind you claim for yourself. This is when the empath begins to realize, healing isn't about becoming someone new, it's about remembering who they were before they were told to be someone else. Jung called this process individuation, the journey of becoming whole, where all parts of you, light and shadow, finally sit at the same table. Imagine a man named David. For years, he said yes to every family favor, every friend's emergency, every coworker's complaint. But now, something's changed. He checks his calendar and blocks out time, not for obligations, but for stillness. He deletes the text he was about to send out of guilt. He chooses a quiet walk over another phone call. These aren't acts of selfishness. They're signs of integration. He's not choosing between being kind or being free, he's learning how to be both. In Man and His Symbols, Jung emphasized that the unconscious is always trying to guide us toward wholeness. When the empath begins to listen, not just to others, but to their own inner voice, they stop reacting and start responding. They no longer filter their truth through what's palatable. They speak honestly. They rest unapologetically. They walk away without explanation. That's not rebellion, it's evolution. This phase isn't loud. There are no fireworks. But it shows up in the quietest victories, choosing solitude without shame, leaving a conversation that feels off, saying yes because you mean it, not because you should. It's not about rejecting the world, it's about re-entering it on your own terms. The awakened empath doesn't need to be everything for everyone. They just need to be fully themselves. You were never too sensitive, they realize. You are simply too awake in a world that thrives on numbness. And that sensitivity? It's not a flaw, it's a compass. It shows you what's misaligned, what's inauthentic, what needs to end so something truer can begin. And that beginning is the final invitation. You've spent your life believing that love was earned by sacrifice, that being a good person meant being available, agreeable, and silent. But what if your soul was never here to be everyone's emotional crutch? What if it was here to be a mirror, clear, whole, and unshakably real? The awakened empath doesn't save others by losing themselves. They illuminate by being fully present in their truth. Carl Jung once said, "Your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakens." And now you know why. Because everything you were searching for in others, acceptance, peace, validation, was always waiting inside the parts of you feared the most. Your sadness, your anger, your needs, your fire. You are not here to fix people. You are here to embody truth. To walk into a room and be a frequency, not a function. To love without losing. To help without hiding. To speak without shrinking. This is the real healing, when your presence becomes a permission for others to be real too. And that's not arrogance. That's sacred alignment. So let me ask you, which part of yourself have you been hiding just to be accepted? Is it your voice? Your boundaries? Your desire for peace? Whatever it is, comment below. Because when one empath speaks their truth, another one remembers they're not alone. And in a world addicted to false harmony, your authenticity is the medicine. If this spoke to something deep within you, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe for more truths like this. Like the video to keep this message alive in the algorithm. And share it with someone who's been carrying the weight of silence. Their soul might be waiting for this very awakening. Most people never realize they've been living someone else's life until it starts falling apart. And when it does, they either run back to the safety of their persona, or step forward into the truth of their soul. You are standing at that threshold right now. Not everyone will walk with you, but not everyone is meant to. So let me ask you again, what have you abandoned just to be accepted? What parts of you have been waiting to breathe again? What would happen if you stopped apologizing for your intuition, your boundaries, your depth? Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But privilege comes with responsibility, to choose truth even when it's lonely, to choose wholeness even when it's messy, to choose awakening even when it breaks what you thought was you. If this message stirred something inside you, don't let it fade. Subscribe to stay connected to this kind of truth. Share it with someone who's still wearing the mask you've just removed. And comment below, what part of your shadow are you ready to reclaim today? Because maybe, just maybe, your voice will be the light someone else has been waiting to see.